This is 7 News. We're tracking several developing stories, including multiple people injured in a car crash involving an ambulance, what the fire department is saying about the incident, and how many are critically injured. A man found dead near a canal in West Phoenix, what officials are saying about the scary discovery and how it isn't the first violent event in the area. Home sales down, details about fewer people buying homes in the valley, but how it's still a good time for sellers.
He's got it, and the Arizona Diamondbacks are headed to the World Series. The Diamondbacks have won the National League pennant.
And Desert Destiny, Arizona Diamondbacks are headed to their second World Series game in history. But first, we begin tonight with the conflict in Israel. As the violence ensues, here is what we know right now. More than 5,000 people have been killed in Gaza since the war began on October 7th. 2,055 of those deaths have been children, according to Gaza's Hamas-run government media office. The Ministry of Interior and National Security in Gaza confirmed that since the beginning of this week, more than 430 people, including 182 children, have died. Of the nearly 200,000 homes destroyed, an estimated 1,500 people are still missing, and 1.4 million, or about 70% of Gaza's population, are displaced. Hamas released 2 more hostages on Monday, but it is still holding more than 200, according to officials.
Hamas must release all hostages immediately and without conditions. We must ensure all hostages, including Israelis and other nationals, can return safely with their families.
The Palestinian Red Crescent says that it has received the 3rd humanitarian aid shipment from the Egyptian Red Crescent. The shipment included 20 trucks with food, medicine, and supplies. President Biden is thanking the leaders of Egypt, Israel, and the United Nations for clearing the way for aid now, but some Palestinians and U.S. passport holders feel abandoned by the president.
For America to do this to us, a strongest country, to leave their citizens here and not help them, that's a big problem. They should have done like the possible to help us to get out of here.
Nearly 40 truckloads of aid have been allowed to cross into Gaza, which was the first humanitarian assistance to enter the region since October 7th. It represents a significant shortfall from the almost 5,400 truckloads of goods that would have entered Gaza in the same time period, according to data from the UN. With the tensions escalating, the U.S. is now on high alert regarding Iran's involvement. Secretary of State Antony Blinken said that the Biden administration is prepared to respond if American personnel or armed forces become the target of any hostilities.
We are concerned at the possibility of Iranian proxies escalating their attacks against our own personnel, our own people. We're taking every measure to make sure that we can defend them and, if necessary, respond decisively. Not at all what we're looking for, not at all what we want, but we'll be prepared if that's what they choose to do.
The U.S. announced on Sunday that non-essential staff at its embassy in Iraq should leave the country. Blinken said the U.S. has the right to self-defense and that, quote, we won't hesitate to take the appropriate action. U.S. Department of State has issued a worldwide travel advisory in response to the conflict in the region. The advisory tells travelers to exercise increased caution due to tensions and the potential for terrorist attacks.
People need to be extremely careful. I cannot overemphasize that. And the problem is that when you are in another country, you are a target just by, we stick out.
All major U.S. airlines have since suspended flights to and from Tel Aviv. Moving on to some stories and headlines back here at home and a follow-up on some developing stories. Police say an arrest has been made in connection with a stabbing that left a man dead in Phoenix. Court documents identified the suspect as 18-year-old Yalia Ezekiel Jackson. The victim, a 53-year-old man, was found dead at an apartment complex in South Phoenix on October 21st. Officers said the victim was found with multiple apparent stab wounds to his torso and a large butcher knife on top of the body. A man has died following a shooting on Sunday night in North Phoenix. Police were called to the shooting around 10:20 p.m. near 54th and High Streets in the parking lot of the High Street Shopping District east of the Desert Ridge Marketplace. The victim, 31-year-old Abashe Aguazim Mathis, was found with multiple gunshot wounds and was taken to a nearby hospital. According to officers, Mathis and a woman were walking to their car when another vehicle pulled up and shot the man. Police have not yet released details on the suspects or the cars they were in. And details have been released about a man found in a canal in West Phoenix. Officials say the police were called to the area of 67th Avenue and Indian School Road on Sunday morning just after 7 a.m. in response to an injured person call. When they arrived, they found 35-year-old Lee Treviso.
Actually, the fire truck is what I seen first. And I thought, okay, there's an accident. Because we have had a couple of incidents in this area, really bad. So, and I thought, Then they drove off. When the ambulance drove off, and I thought, police are still down there. So I went down there to look, and I said, there's a body down there. A little scary. It really is, because, I mean, we hear so many gunshots through the night around here. We really do. And they sound close.
Officials said the victim showed obvious signs of trauma and his death is being investigated as a homicide. Anyone with information is urged by police to call Silent Witness at 480-WITNESS. 5 people are hurt, including 4 in critical condition after an ambulance was one of 2 vehicles involved in a crash on Monday. Phoenix Fire Department said the crash happened near 7th Street and Northern in the overnight hours. A car crashed with the ambulance, causing it to roll over on its side. Police say the ambulance was transporting a patient with a gunshot wound at the time of the crash. The cause of the crash has not yet been determined, and the investigation is ongoing. New tonight, fewer people are buying homes here in the Phoenix metro area, according to a new report by the Arizona Regional Multiple Listing Service. In its report released last week, the service said monthly home sales were down about 14% year over year in September. Despite the low sales, experts say that it's still a good time for sellers.
When inventory is lower, it's a great time for sellers to think about putting their properties on the market because there's less product on the shelf. And we're starting to see days on market increase, but the good thing is sellers' home prices, or the prices for homes here in the Valley of the Sun, are staying semi-consistent over the last 12 months.
New inventory of homes decreased by about 16% from last month compared to September of last year. The total inventory saw a 30% decrease year over year. Prices, however, were still high this month, with the average sale price of a home at about $550,000 compared to the $528,000 last year. Mortgage rates are hovering around 7 to 8%.
Nobody is forcing you into purchasing a property. You can take your time, run your numbers, and make sure that the house will be your dream home.
If you've been looking for some relief at the pump, good news. Gas prices have fallen for the 5th week in a row, according to a recent report by Gas Buddy. The national average is at $3.50 per gallon. That's down more than 33 cents from a month ago and more than a quarter lower compared to last year. Arizona's prices still remain higher than the national average, being around $4. However, the prices are lower than western parts of the country, such as California, where drivers are paying between $4.80 and $5.40 per gallon on average.
There's a lot of sadness out there, and you look around here and you don't see that. You see love and inclusion.
Celebrating pride, love, and the community, uniting against hate. Thousands of people lined the streets for the 2023 Phoenix Pride Parade. Around 2,000 people came to participate, while thousands more to watch, dressing up, waving flags, fans, and balloons.
I love it. It just brings our community together and really inspires the Pride community in Arizona to get together, be yourself, be outside, and have fun.
The parade dates back to 1981, but has been a part of the annual Pride Festival at Steele Indian School Park since 2002. The event has grown from a few thousand attendees when it first began. An estimated over 50,000 people attended this year. Investing in transportation for the next 2 decades, how the Arizona Department of Transportation plans to maintain roads across the state. Flying to Germany on a new aircraft, details on the new flights coming to Sky Harbor. Multiple casualties after a car pileup in Louisiana, how superfog forms and how it was the recipe for disaster. And not quite right, what a popular actor is saying about a recent wax figure that was supposed to look like him. If you're looking to fly to Europe next year, you're in luck. German carrier Condor Airlines is preparing to bring a brand new aircraft to Phoenix Sky Harbor International Airport next May. The airline wrapped up a very successful season of nonstop flights to Frankfurt and will put the service on hiatus until next season. But starting in May 2024, Condor will fly its fuel-efficient Airbus A330-900neo aircraft from Phoenix to Frankfurt 3 times weekly. The airline said the aircraft offers unrivaled in-flight passenger comfort and will accommodate 310 passengers. International service at Sky Harbor has significantly increased in recent years. In the first 9 months of the year, there have been about 13% more international arrivals compared to the same period in 2019. Maintaining state highways, fixing roads, and investing in new transportation products, the Arizona Department of Transportation has approved a transportation plan for the next 2 decades. ADOT said public input was a big factor in their 2050 long-range transportation plan. Nearly 10,000 Arizonans had a say in the plan, but budgeting can be challenging. The project's manager said the department needs more than $231 billion to make the 2050 long-term plan possible.
The gap between the needs of our system and the revenue that we project over 25 years is approximately $162 billion. That's a huge, huge gap over the next 25 years.
ADOT's forecasted revenue is only $69 billion. The department's board members said prioritizing projects according to the state and federal funding is needed as they continue to budget for the state's transportation needs. Horror on the highway. A massive car pileup engulfed sections of Interstate 55 in Louisiana due to dangerous fog on Monday, killing several people. Officials fear the death toll could rise as the cleanup efforts are underway. Crews are continuing to pick through the damage after 7 people were killed and 158 vehicles were involved in a fatal pileup on I-55 in Louisiana on Monday.
A lot of people are very confused, a lot of people not real sure what was going on, people scared.
The aftermath covers a 20-mile stretch of the highway and a series of crash clusters where cars were damaged and people injured.
You couldn't see 5 to 10 yards in front of you because of this fog. And then out of nowhere, this big FedEx truck is in front of us, and he had to swerve out the way, the brakes were screeching.
Authorities say the extremely dense fog, known as super fog, left drivers with nearly no visibility. And as the investigation continues, there's a possibility of discovering more fatalities.
Once we're able to get into that wreckage, there's a possibility that there may be more confirmed fatalities.
Super fog forms when moisture in the air mixes with smoke from burning brush, leaves, and trees. The dangerously thick fog is unusual, but does occur periodically in the south and had blanketed the highway at the time of the crash.
It's 7 o'clock in the morning in New Orleans. The whole city is full of smoke.
The highway remains closed, and officials say it won't be opened until investigators assess the roadway.
Federally certified bridge inspectors will participate in the bridge inspection as soon as they can, and then we will let people know what they find. If there's going to be repairs, load posting, some lanes open, some lanes not. There's a lot of different things that can happen, and that's why we hate to venture a guess right now.
All right, well, let's take a look at the weather conditions here back at home. Thankfully, we don't have any super fog to worry about here. It was a very nice day across the Valley of the Sun. Right now, we're sitting in the lower 80s. Wind is light. I love this view from our South Mountain cam view in downtown Phoenix. It was such a nice day out there. As we take your night hour by hour, it's going to be a very nice and mild evening. We're going to be cooling down into the lower 70s by the time we get to 9 and 10 p.m. 72 degrees by the time we get to 10 p.m. And right now across the valley, it was also a very, very nice day and currently very nice right now. So as you can see, we're in the upper 70s towards northern part of the valley, and then out towards east and west, we're in the lower 80s. So looking good out there. Across the state, it was also a very nice day. Up in the high country, the upper 60s at the Grand Canyon, 62 degrees in Flagstaff, 73 in Winslow, 76 in Safford. Casa Grande topped out at 82 degrees today. So cooler temperatures are on the way. This is exciting news as we had those 100-degree temperatures, what was it, last week? So it's starting to feel a lot more like fall, which is very nice. So by the time, look at this, we'll jump up to 88 degrees for Friday. But then by the time we start our work week, we're in the lower 80s. So it does look very nice. It's also feeling very much like fall elsewhere across the country. Up in Seattle, 48 degrees, 53 degrees in Boise, 72 in Denver, 78 in St. Louis. New York, you topped out in the mid 70s at 75 degrees. Miami, 83 degrees, and 76 degrees in Atlanta. So as we do take a look at this map box radar, as you can see, we've got some storms happening in the middle section of the country, and then some snow upper in the interior west coast, up towards the Rockies. Even farther north than that in Idaho, you're looking at getting your fair share of snow today. As we zoom in a little bit closer towards that weather event in this middle section of the country, basically from San Angelo, Texas, all the way up to Wichita, Kansas, we're looking at that strong line of storms, basically knocking on the doors of Oklahoma City and Dallas, and that's going to be tracking eastward as we go throughout the rest of the evening. For tonight, back home here in Phoenix, 65 degrees, sunset at 5:43 p.m. Tomorrow, we're warming up to 86 degrees, sunrise at 6:42, and we'll have partly cloudy skies. We are also tracking the rain here, so we actually still have a lot more to go in terms of rain for this year. So far, we've had just a little over 3 inches. but we're still about just under 3 inches below normal. So we could use a lot more rain as we go throughout the rest of this year. 7-day forecast moving into the next 3 days. Well, like I said, we're going to jump up to 88 degrees on Friday, 87 on Saturday. Then as we put the rest of the week into motion, look at this. By the time we get to our start of the work week, we're in the lower 80s. And then Tuesday, jumping down to 81 degrees with partly cloudy skies expected, and those lows in the mid to upper 50s. Still to come here at 5, cleaning out the zone when the city of Phoenix needs to completely clear homeless tents and structures in downtown. A grim milestone, details behind the record number of heat-related deaths in the valley this year.
This was my wife's very first baseball game, 73 years old, D-backs, we won.
Welcome to the World Series. Arizona Diamondbacks clinched their win against Philadelphia. And welcome back to 7 News, everyone. Time now for a check of your top stories tonight. Officials with the Yavapai County Attorney's Office say a jury has found a Flagstaff man guilty of various drug-related offenses. According to a statement released on October 23rd, 52-year-old Kenneth Sean Frazier has been guilty of selling meth, fentanyl, marijuana, and misconduct involving weapons. Frazier was taken into custody in August of 2022 following an investigation into alleged drug sales in Rimrock, Arizona. His sentencing is scheduled for November 22nd, and he faces a minimum of 12 and a half years behind bars. The Maricopa County Department of Public Health says the county has matched the all-time yearly record for heat deaths. Last week's numbers have now matched 22's numbers at 425 confirmed heat deaths. Another 199 are still under investigation, which means the county will break a record. The largest percentage of deaths continue to impact those aged 50 to 64. One of those who died from a heat stroke was a volunteer for Feed Phoenix amid a dangerous heat wave last month. And the city of Phoenix intends to comply with a court order issued last month and will complete its final steps to meet a deadline to permanently clear all tents and other makeshift structures known as the Zone on the edge of downtown. The court-ordered deadline is November 4th. As many as 1,000 people have lived in the area, and the size has erupted since the pandemic. A hearing is scheduled for November 30th for the city to show it has complied with the September court order.
And the Arizona Diamondbacks are headed to the World Series.
All right, let the chaos continue. The Arizona Diamondbacks, baseball's team of destiny this offseason, are headed to the World Series. Last night, the D-backs beat the Philadelphia Phillies 4-2, and a winner takes all Game 7 of the National League Championship Series against Philadelphia.
Just, it was one thing after another that fell into the right place, and once they got their roles, they took off. And to come into this environment and stand on a 4-2 lead, and we've done that several times down the stretch, not just in the playoffs. You've got a very capable bullpen. So the pieces were in place, and they started to take it over from there.
This was the D-backs' second Game 7 victory, with the first being the famous Game 7 win over the New York Yankees in 2001. Moving on to their second World Series in team history, they will play the Texas Rangers. Game 1 will be on Friday at 5:03 p.m. at Globe Life Field in Arlington, Texas. Phoenix Suns opened up the 2023-2024 NBA season last night with a 108-104 win against the Golden State Warriors. The team this season brings new faces, including guard Bradley Beal over the summer. The addition is expected to give the Suns a formidable trio with superstars Devin Booker and Kevin Durant. And from the NBA to the WNBA, the Phoenix Mercury have hired veteran NBA assistant Nate Tibbetts as their head coach. Tibbetts has nearly 2 decades of experience as an NBA assistant coach and in the NBA's G League, where he was both a head coach and an assistant. He was most recently an assistant with the Orlando Magic.
Number one, just the opportunity to be a head coach. Coming into this league, there's a ton of momentum in the WNBA right now, and I'm just excited to be a part of it.
The Mercury will be Tibbetts' first women's basketball coaching job. It's also the first hire for the team's new general manager, Nick Uren, who came to the Mercury from the Golden State Warriors. And stay with us for one last thing. Not quite right. Dwayne Johnson responding to internet backlash. Dwayne Johnson announced on Instagram that he is reaching out to the Musée Grevin in Paris after it unveiled a botched wax figure of the A-list Hollywood star. Fans reacted in horror earlier this month at the museum's light-skinned wax figure of Johnson, complete with a suburban dad kind of outfit that Johnson is almost never seen in. Johnson said on social media that, quote, "I'm going to have my team reach out to our friends at Grevin Museum in Paris, France, so we can work on updating my wax figure here with some important details and improvements, starting with my skin color." Hopefully they will get that updated soon. But that's our news. Thanks for joining us. Have a good night.